A man snaps a photo of 3 people at the start of the movie. He detects an odd item beneath Chris's feet as he prepares for the shot. Alicia believes that the man needs assistance using the camera, but he yells at her to stay put. They all understand that Chris is standing on a mine when Daniel looks down and notices that he is on something. Chris hastily gets down and clears the dirt from around his foot. Alicia bursts into tears and can't believe what is happening. In the meantime, the photographer flees down the hill out of fear for his life. Chris tries not to move while displaying obvious anxiety. Daniel attempts to contact for assistance by accompanying Alicia to the top of the hill where he can obtain a signal. He then strangely turns around and walks back toward Chris while looking furious. He tells him that he actually planted the mine there at that point. Chris is obviously perplexed, and when Alicia arrives to join them, Daniel explains that he is aware that they shared a bed. While Alicia is engaged to him, Chris was his best friend. He finds it incomprehensible that they would act against him in secret. He devised a scheme in his fury and brought the 2 of them there to exact retribution. Although Alicia begs for his pardon, Daniel tells her it is too late. He ignores her explanation and instead moves in the direction of a tree where he grabs a shovel. He reveals to them that his intention was to bury Chris in the forest following his passing. Chris believes the mine is a fake because Daniel stood next to him earlier when they were about to take a picture. If it were real, why would he stand that near to him? The mine is subsequently revealed to be real when Daniel cuts the safety cable. Chris would be blown to shreds if he exited the mine at this time. Alicia hugs Daniel while trying to talk to him. He becomes really irate, though, and refuses to listen. He tells them both that he intended to spend his entire life with Alicia and that he believed he could trust them. Then he discards the safety cable and departs. The photographer that Daniel hired and instructed to make Chris stand on the mine while posing for pictures is seen catching up with him afterwards. Alicia stays behind, finds the safety cable, and makes every effort to reinstall it in the mine. She tries so hard to accomplish it, but she just can't. She then makes the decision to grab a shovel and begin digging a hole. A hunter passing by with his dog notices all the commotion in the meantime and stops to take a look. The hunter approaches with his gun and tells Chris to turn back while Alicia tries to keep the dog away from Chris. The hunter fires in the direction of his feet after he informs him that he cannot. He finally starts to trust them, so he goes and investigates the mine more. The hunter then picks up a stone and hurls it in Chris' direction, making him and Alicia furious but helpless. The guy claims he was simply checking to see whether they were telling the truth because he lives nearby and was unaware of any mines. Then he inquires as to what transpired and how they came to be in this predicament. He wouldn't assist them if they didn't tell the truth. As Alicia tells him what occurred, the hunter offers to help, but with one stipulation. He tries to take advantage of their precarious position because he is aware of it. He snatches her up and declares that he wants the clothes she is wearing. As Chris tries to give him some cash, the man is uninterested. At some point, Alicia is forced to comply with his request. The hunter begins to assist them when suddenly the radio in his bag starts to go off. As Alicia hears this, she rushes over to beg if she may take it to seek for assistance. Once more, the hunter manipulates her emotions by telling her that she can, but under one specific circumstance. She is instructed to crawl after he throws the scarf she gave him to the ground. Alicia becomes irate and takes it up on her own, but the man continues to insist that she crawl to get it. She is made to crawl and pick it up with her tongue after the man is not satisfied with her performance. Finally, the hunter hands Alicia the radio, but to her surprise, the person on the other end did not speak English. She can't help but beg him again for assistance because she is in a dire situation. The hunter offers to interpret for her under one condition: she had to start taking off pieces of her clothing. Alicia initially responded no, but she quickly realizes that this was the only way for her to escape the predicament. She then began complying with his requests as the man translated for her. Both of them were unaware that the hunter was misleading them and that he was not doing as Alicia instructed him to do. She soon stops requesting assistance and is only wearing her panties. The hunter is shown packing up his bags and walking away when she gives him the all-clear to depart. The shameless hunter approaches Alicia and asks her if she wants to know what was said as he is leaving when his radio goes off one more. He informs her once more that she must take off some garments. Chris becomes enraged at this point and starts berating him. He is warned to mind his mouth as the hunter points his gun in his direction. Suddenly, Alicia recognizes her opportunity and takes off. The hunter then lets go of his dog and chases the woman down the mountain as we watch. The man grabs a rope and runs after it. Chris can then be seen carefully reaching down and grabbing the safety cable. He manages to pick up the hunter's gun and ties it around his waist. The hunter then makes his way back while carrying Alicia. Chris is warned to put the rifle down as he becomes more hostile. Chris freezes helplessly as we watch the hunter seize Alicia from behind the trees. Chris raises the rifle, and as he prepares to fire, the hunter's dog charges at Chris and knocks him to the ground. However, as the gun fires, Alicia is hit rather than the hunter. Amazingly, when Chris is knocked to the ground, the mine does not explode. When Chris finally awakens, he discovers that the hunter and his dog have already fled. He discovers Alicia in a ditch and hugs her lifeless body while he sobs hysterically. A few weeks later, Chris is seen going to a house and asking the resident for help. She graciously opens the door for him to speak. It becomes clear that the house is the hunter's when we suddenly glimpse a man entering it. The hunter is in a state of shock because he cannot believe what he is seeing. He is able to concoct an explanation, get Chris out of the house, and issue a warning to Chris. The hunter releases his dog when he gets home, and it runs after Chris. The hunter then hears the dog barking outside, hurries outside, and discovers blood all over the ground. When Chris brings the dog inside the house, he explains that it was struck by a passing automobile. The hunter hurriedly picks up his gun and points it at him when he returns. Chris shoots the hunter in the leg after deftly removing the rounds. Thereafter, he requests that the mother and daughter accompany him inside. The hunter then sobs and begs Chris to stop as we witness Chris tell the daughter to tie up her mother. He admits that when he attacked Alicia, he was intoxicated and not thinking well. Chris then swings a bottle of wine, pouring some over the hunter's lap while forcing the mother and daughter to drink some as well. Next, exactly like the hunter did to Alicia, he commands the daughter to take off her scarf and pick it up while crawling on the ground. He then tricks the family by placing the scarf in the hunter's mouth. Although Chris is bent on exacting complete retribution, the mother and daughter are running for their lives. He tells his daughter that every time the pistol is fired and there is no bullet, she must take off a piece of clothes. We witness him load the revolver with a bullet. The hunter then hears the dog barking outside, hurries outside, and discovers blood all over the ground. When Chris brings the dog inside the house, he explains that it was struck by a passing automobile. The hunter hurriedly picks up his gun and points it at him when he returns. Chris shoots the hunter in the leg after deftly removing the rounds. Thereafter, he requests that the mother and daughter accompany him inside. The hunter then sobs and begs Chris to stop as we witness Chris tell the daughter to tie up her mother. He admits that when he attacked Alicia, he was intoxicated and not thinking well. Chris is just getting started as the hunter collapses to the ground and begs for forgiveness. Chris fires the gun 3 times, and the 3rd shot kills the girl. He then collapses on the ground in disbelief at what he has just done. Chris simply stands there and observes the lifeless body curled up in the corner. Having attained his goal of vengeance, the film finishes there. If you have watched this far in the video, you guys are fantastic. To join our movie family and see more of these movie summaries, click the subscribe button.